For our next question, we're asked to find the vertex of each of the following. Well, to find the vertex, we're going to have to first find the zeros, then find the axis of symmetry, and since the axis of symmetry cuts through the vertex, by finding the axis of symmetry, we will know the x value of the vertex, and we'll be able to find the y value of the vertex by simply plugging it in to the equation of the parabola. Let's see it in action for a few questions. This first one, y equals 3x squared minus 30x plus 72. Well, our first step is to find the zeros. Step 1, find zeros. We let 0 equal 3x squared minus 30x plus 72. Common factor out the 3. Trinomial factor what's left in the bracket. And we get that 0 has to equal 3 times this factor times this factor. So either x minus 6 is 0 or x minus 4 is 0, which means x is either 6 or x is 4. Well, we found our zeros, but now we have to find in step 2 our axis of symmetry. Well, our axis of symmetry will be at x equals 6 plus 4 over 2, which is x equals 5. We now know the x value of the vertex. So we proceed by subbing x equals 5 into the equation of the parabola. Now, we could have chosen this equation of the parabola, y equals 3x squared minus 30x plus 72. However, I find this version a little bit easier for plugging in purposes. I'm going to say y equals 3 times x minus 6, x minus 4, which is 3 times negative 1 times 1, which is negative 3. So we now know the x value of the vertex is 5, the y value is negative 3, so our vertex is at the point 5, negative 3. Moving to our next question. We have y equals negative 3x squared minus 6x. Now here we can do something called common factoring. We can common factor negative 3x out from this term and this term. So we find the zeros by common factoring out negative 3x, and we're left with x plus 2. When in doubt, if you have the right answer, just in your mind, distribute again and see if this is what you get. Well, we now have two factors, either negative 3x equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. Well, that would mean that x is 0 or x is negative 2. In step 2, we will find the axis of symmetry by adding those two numbers and dividing by 2. X is negative 1. There's our axis of symmetry. Now, to find the y value of the vertex, we simply plug the x value of the vertex into the equation. Again, I'll use this factored form of the equation. And we have y equals 3 times x plus 2. Well, y equals negative 3 times x plus 2. That becomes y equals negative 3 times negative 1 times 1, which means y equals 3. So x is negative 1, y is 3, and so our vertex is at negative 1, 3. And for our last question in this video, we have y equals x squared minus 6x minus 16. Well, we don't have to common factor any factors that are common out of all three terms, so we begin by trinomial factoring. Two numbers that add to negative 6 and multiply to negative 16 are negative 8 and positive 2. Well, that means that our zeros must be at 8 or negative 2. We can find our axis of symmetry now by finding the halfway point between 8 and negative 2. 8 minus 2 over 2 equals 6 over 2. Our axis of symmetry is at x equals 3. Well, that's useful to know. We sub x equals 3 into the equation. We could use the original. I'll use the x minus 8, x plus 2 version. And I get y equals 3 minus 8 times 3 plus 2, which is negative 5 times 5, which is negative 25. And this means that our vertex is at 3, negative 25.